Well, it's been interesting seeing people's responses when it comes to my me and dating sims devil's advocate videos, but there's been a lot of confusion about them, most of it having to do with the terminology that I used, and I guess I can't be upset. Terms like otaku, hikikomori, and neat get thrown around all over the place in Western society, but I honestly don't think people realize what these words actually mean by their Japanese origin. So I figure now is as good a time as any to try and define these terms to avoid all of this confusion. So let's start off with the most common word used, otaku. The literal meaning of this word is one's honorable home, and this refers to one who spends their time more often than not at home obsessing over something. Now, here's the thing everyone, while it's commonly referred to people obsessed with anime, manga, and games, it's not limited to just those things. Heck, I usually hear people use the term in describing folks like train otaku, or people obsessed with trains and how they work, or model otaku, who construct all kinds of complicated models ranging from ships to tanks to yes, even Gundams. Unlike our use in the West though, the term otaku has no specific conjunction with the anime or gaming scene. So, in reality, we're all otaku of sorts. I'm otaku, you're otaku, we're all otaku. Next, let's talk about the word that I threw around a lot in those last videos, hikikomori. Hikikomori literally means pulling inward or being confined. By medical definition in Japan by psychiatrist Tamaki Saito, hikikomori refers to, quote, a state that has become a problem by the late 20s that involves cooping oneself up in one's own home and not participating in society for 6 months or longer, but that does not seem to have another psychological problem as its principal source. And according to the government's figures in 2010, there were over 700,000 individuals who suffered from this condition, while it's believed that 1.55 million people are on the verge of being hikikomori. See, that's why I made it such a big deal in my videos. There's been arguments that hikikomori cases are in conjunction with other conditions like Asperger's or autism, while others believe it's closer associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'd argue the latter considering how not only Japan, but much of Asia puts a high demand on performance, grades, and rank, which I could see driving people away from society in general as explained in my videos. So while similar to otaku, hikikomori is more of a drastic term. Otaku may spend a lot of time on their hobbies and projects at home, but they still work, socialize, and integrate with society, whereas hikikomori folks do not. Okay, lastly, let's talk about neat. And no, I don't mean cleanliness, I mean N-E-E-T. This one's pretty interesting because it actually was coined by the UK back in the turn of the millennium. It's actually an acronym meaning not in education, employment, or training, and it originally wasn't a negative definition either. It was just defining a demographic of people who were out of work, looking after family, on unpaid holidays, sick, disabled, volunteering, and so on. It was later that it became a negative term, meaning young adults who were dropouts that were likely to become criminals or teenage parents. Now, skip to 2005 in Japan, and the term was used to identify young people that were either afraid of work, lazy, or only worked low-paying part-time hours, or any other reasons for not taking up full-time employment. A lot of people who both study and practice the neat lifestyle have gone on record in saying that the growing demographic is a bold revolution against the life of the salaryman and Japan's work values. And if you know anything about Japan, you can understand the amount of hostilities neat people would face in the public eye. I would argue that while this is an economic problem with Japan's aging population creating healthcare and gross domestic product issues, this seems more like a social revolutionary movement, and not a mental dysfunction. And to be fair, I'm technically neat. Heck, most YouTubers are technically neat. We're not officially employed with anyone, nor are we in school or training for work. So really, from a Western view anyway, being neat isn't inherently a bad thing, really. Granted, a mass increase of part-time over full-time workers isn't a good thing, but being neat could also mean being an entrepreneur in a time where the American or even world standard and system of employment is a broken mess. It could, in fact, usher in a renaissance of nuanced creators. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that terms like otaku, neat, and hikikomori are in fact not interchangeable, and caution you to be careful when using these words. As the nerd scene continues to grow and change, so do the terms that are applied to them, not just in gaming, not just in Japan, but all over the world. Just be careful and be mindful. But thanks for watching everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.